Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We are at 1075 East 15th Street here in Lafayette. Located on the right side of the home, on the backyard side of the fence. We have a 3-inch ABS cleanout as our point of access. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. And I describe everything as if you're standing out in the street facing the front of the home. So there's your fence. Got a 45-degree angle cleanout here. Water's running. Sorry. Just inhaled my spit there. Water's running. We're zeroed out. Off we go. Alright, so we are coming up. This is probably at a transition joint here. You can see we've got some standing water. And yeah, it looks like it just swapped over to 3034 there. We'll see how this spot here drains out. There is a fair amount of standing water in the line here. And debris. Now, at the least here, I would recommend at least a jet to clean the debris out. There is some grease buildup in the line as well. We'll see how that drains off here in just a moment once we turn the water off. That looks like the main there at 65 feet. We're going to go locate real quick. Alright, got the camera head located. I did mark that, and I apologize. Normally I'm using green paint. My supplier sent me red paint for some odd reason. So you'll see a T marking out in the street there. Getting around 7 foot 5 inches approximately. Depths were jumping around just a little bit there, but it was settling in right around the 7 foot mark. The line is just about done draining off here. So that marking is purely for reference. There's nothing going on out there at that point. This is where it looks like our... Yeah, he's still maybe flowing off here. Yeah, we may actually maybe the spot there where things dissipate off. It looks like that might be. So by and large, most everything looks like it's dissipating off right about here. Hard part with that much standing water, sometimes you get water breaking loose when you move the camera around. That right there is flowing off though. Yeah, it looks like it's about right here at the 48 foot mark. Almost 49 feet, just to be on the safe side. It's a little hard to tell with some of the debris that's in the line too. It doesn't take very much to cause a little bit of water to stand. Alright, so I'm going to put some, again, the T marking out in the street is just to show where the main's at. That is not anything related to repairs. So basically right where the driveway meets the driveway skirt is where the standing water dissipates. I'm getting about the same depth there as I am at the main. Right around 7'3", 7'4". And because it's in the driveway, I'm not putting a ton of paint down. I'm just putting a couple dots. You'll see a red dot just after the, or right about where the driveway meets the driveway skirt. That's the part where the driveway flares out to a skirt shape just before hitting the street. This spot here is going to be a little tricky. I've got to push into the belly a little bit in order to get a proper locate. I can't do it on that downward dive. I'll try to adjust for that, but this is one that I'm not going to put depths down. It should be relocated. Just this is an awkward configuration to locate. All right, so this spot here where we're at right now, it's roughly marked. I'm going to make sure it's on the report and obviously in the video here that relocating needs to be done. There's not depths on the ground for a reason. Part of it's the angle of the approach here. My locating system just has a harder time with these awkward dives like this. Anyhow, you're going to see a red dot before and after the secondary clean out. Right where the driveway about meets the driveway skirt area, you'll see a steel cover plate that's sitting over top the secondary clean out, which you see right as we pop out of this thing. So most of it's prior to that access. This is it right here. That tie-in right there is where the secondary clean out is. So there's a red dot just after that, and then a red dot going up the driveway. The line, once it turns to go into the driveway, it's running about 2 feet or so in from that right side edge of the driveway. And that section there at its worst point, the belly obviously starts dissipating and lessening as it goes. And you've got a lot of grade to work with here. This is the unfortunate part, is the way they nosedive this. That's often why you end up with a belly of this nature. The line is doing just almost a straight vertical drop right here. That's where all that slope and grade went that could have prevented that belly. Rather than do a gentle gradation the entire way out, you know, they ran it basically right at code and then nosedived it. It's not an ideal configuration. It often results in a belly. Sometimes there's a reason for it. Sometimes we're trying to dive the line around a utility, but you're making a gargantuan depth change. You're probably going from just a couple feet deep down to 7 feet. So the plus side is there's a lot of grade to utilize. In order to correct that belly, just be aware. It's part of the reason why I'm not necessarily stating exactly where to start that fix is in a lot of cases, you know, for instance, let's say you've got a 10-foot belly with a dive like that before it. Sometimes you've got to actually take that repair to 15 feet or more in order to go earn some grade back. And so that most likely that's what will happen in order for a repair guy to help guarantee they'll get that corrected. It's pretty uncommon in this configuration to only be doing the exact dimensions of the belly. You're usually going to be starting a little bit sooner than that area there to earn some grade back where that nose dive is. So that is one I do recommend a correction on. As the line sits, it is still a functioning sewer line, but the standing water there, at its worst point, the line's almost fully submerged. You've got 3 to 4 inches of standing water. At its worst point, you can see the debris that's hanging up in there. So if it does get repaired, make sure a rescope is performed to check the work. You want to do that when the trench is closed. You want to bury the line, compact it, get it ready for concrete pour. Make sure it looks good before you go cover it up completely with concrete. That way, if anything does shift or settle, it's easy to correct it at that point. And if no repairs are done for some reason, at the least, I recommend cleaning the line, a Hydrojet. There is a reasonable amount, there's about a 1/4 inch thick layer of grease buildup throughout the line. It's not a nightmarish level, but there's enough there I'd like to see it gone, as it can contribute to blockages occurring. You know, and you can see the amount of toilet paper and stuff I was pushing through that area there. So that belly does pose obviously a higher risk for debris to hang up there and potentially cause a blockage. So if repairs are not done, I would jet the line and then I would rescope the sewer line a year later. You also want to do a rescope post jetting, by the way, just to show the work was done and that it was cleaned out thoroughly. But depending on your living habits, it changes. Your household size does have an effect on how buildup occurs. You know, 2 adults versus 2 adults and 4 kids, you're going to generally see a difference in buildup. So it's worth jetting, rescope, make sure things look good, and then do it again a year later to get a baseline for how the belly's handling your living habits. And you can kind of adjust living habits as needed, especially related to things like grease buildup, cooking oil going down the line. You want to make sure wipes, paper towels, things like that aren't shooting down the line. That's the stuff that is especially a hard problem getting through a belly, as does balled up toilet paper. So those are some things you can do to help mitigate buildup and the potential for blockages. But at that year mark, you'll get an idea as to how buildup's occurring around there, and you know how frequently you might want to be doing some maintenance jetting to keep buildup at bay. Otherwise, the rest of the line we scoped there outside that section from about 39 to 49 feet, all of that appears to be in good condition, has good flow, and is functioning properly. Overall, the line is functioning, but it is draining slowly due to the belly in the line. That slower drain is what can lead to the potential for buildup and blockages to occur.